Hello, welcome everyone to Scientia Science Writing Internship Cohort 4 2025. Today we have our webinar, and it's part of our series, webinar number 6, where we have our speaker. Welcome, Ma'am Zofeen Ebrahim. I would like to introduce our guest. Madam Zofeen Ebrahim is a science writer for last 3 decades, and more importantly, she is also a member of Scientia's advisory board. She has been advising, helping Scientia for quite a while, and she has been writing for last 3 decades. Zofeen Ibrahim is an internationally acclaimed writer. She has written about multiple topics from social sciences, environment, and so on. She has contributed to different international platforms such as Guardian, Dawn, Thomson Reuters Foundation. She was also the Pakistan editor of Third Pole, and she independently works with different NGOs on climate and climate justice and such topics. So today I would like to welcome her. She's a Karachi-based writer for last 3 decades, and she has been all around. You could search her up on Google. Her work is all over the internet, and everyone likes reading about it. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Foz. Hello, everyone. I've just been told that you're A-level students or university students. So I'm very happy to talk to you about our topic, which is plastics, and how we're all in it together. As I was making notes, I also got so interested that probably I got a little carried away. I want to give you a little bit of the background, because when I started working on your notes, I also learned so much more. So as I was saying, that we all live in a world where just by walking on the street, we're already exposed to plastics. And now this is with or without our consent. We're just part of this world where everyone breathes and, breathes plastic, eats plastic, and it is in our blood, it is in our brains, it is in women, it is in our it is in newborn babies or babies who have not even been born yet. So since the time the first ever plastic was made, we have produced 8.3 billion tons of plastic, of which 6.3 billion metric tons go to waste, is discarded. And I'll tell you more about where it goes, but I'm sure you already know. So I got interested in who made the first plastic and how was it made. So it wasn't one person. There was, but we have a history. It started back in 1856 when a British Alexander Parkes made the first plastic, which was semi-synthetic, and he termed it Parkesine. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. The next person was in 1869, was an American. His name was John Wesley, and he improved upon Parkes, and he called his plastic celluloid, and also was a commercial venture and quite successful. Then came a Belgian whose name is Leo Baekeland, and he made in 1907, and he made Bakelite. Now that was a fully synthetic plastic, as we know of it today, the kind of, and interestingly, he beat his Scottish rival James Swinburne to the patent office by 1 day. So tell me, when we talk about plastic, what word comes to your mind? What connection do you make to plastic? Anybody can tell me. I would like a few people. You can unmute and tell me.
Pollution.
Pollution, yes. Good. Very good.
Recycling.
Yes. And we'll be talking about that. Anybody? Temporary use sticks around forever. Yes. Yes, that's right. I think that's fine. But do you know what it's made of? Does anybody know what plastic is made of? Non-biodegradable. Yes, it is non-biodegradable. Polymers. Yes, it is made of polymers. Now, I was trying to find out what polymers is. I'm not a science person, although I write a lot on subjects which are science-based. So I wanted to know what polymers are. And what I found out from the definition on Google is that these are chemical compounds, but interestingly, they're both natural and synthetic substances and bound together in a long repeating chains. And so is plastic. It's also a kind of a polymer, and it comprising a long chain of polymers. When we talk about natural polymers, they can be found in silk, wool, proteins, etc. And synthetic are nylon. We already know nylon, polyethylene, polyester, Teflon, and epoxy. But plastics which are made from synthetic are made from oil and petroleum. The plastics that can be made and are being made actually these days from bio-based materials are from animals, plants, marine, and forestry materials. I was in Colombo a couple of months ago on a plastic event, and there were young people who were making, people like you actually, who were making things which you can't call plastic, but something that has the same, characteristics or same use that we use for plastic, and they had made them from mushrooms. Okay, so there's a variety of things you can do if you don't want to, you want to turn away from plastic. But plastics are valued, the kind of plastics that we see around us, they have value because they're versatile, they can be molded and even pressed into solid products. So, and they're very low cost to make. And I'll start with the advantages of plastic. Although plastic has a very bad rep, but we're all addicted. Our society is addicted to plastic. We can't do without plastic because of the convenience it provides, the cost, it's really cheap, the durability, as we talked about it, and as one of you said that, it lasts forever. In the fashion industry, in the food industry, in the medical world, in construction, in healthcare, it's all, we just have plastic. Everyone needs plastic, and it's actually a planetary scale human health disaster now. So for the advantages, I would say that people say that there was an article in the Economist, and which said that a liter of water in a plastic bottle weighs only 5% of what it would in glass. Packaging of meat or milk in plastic reduces spoilage and emissions far more than traditional methods, if we'd use traditional methods. Plastic pipes have made housing cheaper. Mobile phones and solar panels have plastic components. Global plastic trade is valued at 1.2 trillion annually, and it has enabled perishables like milk and meat to be preserved and packaged such that it can reach communities who would otherwise remain excluded. It has replaced, this is a very interesting fact, it has replaced ivory, tortoise shell, and exotic wood, reducing environmental damage to biodiversity. Without plastic syringes and PPE that we were using during COVID, the response would not have been possible, the kind of response that we took. Hello?
Yes, you are audible. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I thought I'd gone.
Good.
I'm there. Okay.
Yes.
So, so how much plastic is produced annually across the globe? UNEP has come up with 400 million metric tons, which is produced, which is a huge lot. In Pakistan, they say that we produce 1.8 million metric tons and generate 3 million metric tons annually. So we may be producing less, but it doesn't mean that we are not generating more waste. And there's this controversy going on among plastic producers that, our numbers are not right. And I was having a conversation with them yesterday, and I said that, maybe producing less plastic doesn't mean that we are not generating plastic waste, because we are getting mobile phones, we are getting computers, we are getting solar panels, and all of these products are coming from abroad. So they eventually become plastic. So, and also the packaging that comes with so many of the stuff that we are getting from abroad, so we are actually generating more waste. It's something that needs to be looked into, and so that the plastic manufacturers or those in the plastic circular economy do not get away with coming up with these numbers and saying that, we are producing so less plastic compared to the rest of the world. How much plastic becomes waste? So of the 400 metric tons produced globally, first, can you put in the sorting waste wali illustration?
Yes.
We're recycling 9%, but then not all plastics can be recycled. Once you have additives to make them rigid, flexible, or to add color, not every plastic will get recyclable. Some have food waste, so cannot be put into the recycling facility. Plastics can only be recycled once or twice, so it will eventually end up at the landfill or the oceans. So, there will be people who will tell you that let's recycle, or we've come up with recycling methodology, which is fine, but there is a limit to how many times you can recycle. So what happens to after the 9% is recycled, then there is 19% which is incinerated. These are global figures, by the way. But there's a big number which is mismanaged, which is 22%, and landfilled, which is 49%. So mismanaged means that it is dumped into water bodies, burned, or thrown in unsanitary landfills. So together, mismanaged and landfill comes to about 71%, which is a huge number. It's about the same number in Pakistan also. So we estimate we have 2 million tons of plastic waste, which is generated in Pakistan. So it forms about that forms about 9% of the nearly 50 million tons of waste which is the solid municipal waste. And some people UNEP actually have said that it is equivalent to about 2 K2 mountains. So, if you don't know how much 50 million tons is, then this could be an estimate visually. I don't know how true it is, but this is what they say. Now, of the 9%, of the 50 million tons, 65% of waste was found along our shores, along our beaches, on the beaches. 65% of this was plastic bottles, single-use plastic, cutlery, all these things. It was 65% is a large percentage of waste that is found in the oceans. Only 7 to 9% gets recycled. I'm talking about Pakistan figures, but 70% remains unmanaged or mismanaged, as they'd like to say. So Pakistan is among the top 10 plastic polluters, and we know that I think there was a recent study about 2 years ago which said that Indus is one of the top polluted rivers in the world. So what happens to plastic waste? First, can you give the illustration of the life cycle of plastic bottle here? No. Did I send you life cycle? It was a chart.
Yes, I have.
Okay.
I have another one.
Okay.
Let me check.
Yeah, by the way, if anyone has any questions, they can interrupt me here right now. It's fine. I also plan to have a Q&A with you in, in half an hour. Yeah, this is the life cycle. So, this is like, I don't know if all of you can read this, but it tells you that what happens to a plastic bottle. And it starts with when it is produced and includes recycling, incineration, landfill, and then becoming litter, and then each with a distinct environmental impact, particularly in terms of energy use and emissions. So, I'll come to this later, but all of it is about emissions and about because it is fossil fuel based plastic that we are today talking about. But I want to talk to you about single-use plastics, which is actually, the curse. So, of the 400 tons produced globally, 37% is single-use plastic, and this is 40% is in the form of packaging. If you order a television set, or if you order a computer, if you order a mobile phone, everything comes in plastic. This is virgin plastic and it's single use, and then you throw it away. And these are also found in food and beverage containers. You order food out, takeaway, you order takeaways and they come with these nicely packed burgers or everything that you actually, or you go to a grocery store, most of the stuff is in containers, or they are packaged in plastic. Bottles, plastic bottles, water bottles, soda, juices, whatever. Then straws. And you already know that President Trump had said that he doesn't like he doesn't like paper straws, and he's going to revert to plastic ones. Then we have cups and cutlery, grocery bags, of course. Now, all of this is plastic, but plastic breaks up also. And I'd like Foz to show you a TikTok on microplastics. And then I'll tell you about microplastics also. Yes.
What's good? Heard y'all been talking shit. They call me the polyester poppy, aka the Tupperware Titan, aka Young BPA. And I am a microplastic. I was here before you were born, bro. And I'll be here after you die. This is not your world anymore. Hello? Hold on, the money's calling. Hello? Once you go plastic, life is fantastic. Ain't nothing micro about this plastic. The pants, polyester. The boxers, petroleum. The wrists, plasticed out. You see that? Uh-huh. I'm inside you, bro. I am the Michael Jordan of pollution. What's up, dog? Ooh, you got me hot. Nobody knew my name 20 years ago. Look at me now. Do you even understand the amount of turtles I had to run through to get to where I'm at? Better put some respect on my name. I'm in your water. I'm in your boxers. I'm in your fish. I'm in your deodorant. Bro, I'm inside you. I've been inside you. I will always be inside you. How you gonna hate me, bro? Y'all made me. You created this monster, and now you're trying to put me to rest? Microplastics don't sleep. Yeah. Nobody knew my name 20 years ago. Look at me now. #1 toxin on planet Earth, bro. I'm in your mom. I'm in your dad. I'm in your ball. I'm inside of your kids that haven't even been born yet. What's up? Hey, y'all want to hear a joke? You want to hear a joke? Recycling. Hey, yo, shout out Pacific Garbage Patch. I see y'all. Oh, you got a metal straw? That's cute. I'm in your bloodstream, dummy. Fuck this tree. What's good? Heard y'all been talking.
So I found this very interesting because it's speaking the truth. So how many of you know about microplastics? Or have you heard of microplastics? Yeah, I'm sure everyone has heard of microplastics. They're really, microplastics is when our plastic bags or single-use plastics, they break up into really tiny pieces. And this could be they become 5 millimeters or less, then they are called microplastics, and you can't really see them with naked eye. But there is also nanoplastic, which is even smaller than microplastics. And there's a study which says that a study was done, and it said that every third lipstick that they studied contained microplastics. So, a lot of women, when we put on lipstick, we may be ingesting these nanoplastic. Some people are also using microbeads. They're banned in the rest of the world. I don't know about here. So microbeads are also getting into our skins. But there's a way of reducing microplastic is already in us. Okay, so now we have to find a way to take it out. So it cannot be eliminated completely. We already have it, as the TikToker had said. But high fiber food, sweating, antioxidants like fruits, nuts, and vegetables, if you have them, you can reduce the quantum of microplastics in your bodies, or nanoplastics. Earlier, they used to say that you are ingesting as much plastic in a week as the credit card is made. But that is still not. That was probably just to scare us. But the fact is that we need to be scared. There will be more studies, and we'll find out how much we are ingesting. But we definitely are. There's no way out. I'd like to go to and talk to you about planetary health, because now when we talk about climate crisis, we link it to planetary health, because we like to look at it holistically, not just if it is affecting the planet, if it is affecting wildlife, or if it is affecting human life. We're all in it together. What affects one affects the other. In 2018, 2019, there was a mammal research unit which conducted a study and found out, and this is in it's University of St. Andrews, UK, and they found out that plastic was one of the leading causes of marine wildlife deaths. An estimated 300,000 whales, dolphins, and porpoises die every year from discarded plastic ghost nets. How many of you know about ghost nets? No, I'll tell you a little bit about ghost nets. Ghost nets are, when fishermen go fishing, they sometimes discard the nets because either it's damaged or they can't bring it back, they can't haul it back in their boats, and so they discard. These are small fishermen, and often they do that. But there are other trawlers, there are other big boats who can discard nets. These nets are made of plastic. So big animals, small animals can pass through the nets, but the big animals like whales, and even we've heard of turtles, they get they get entangled and they die, suffocate, and they die and they can't swim. So those are ghost nets. They're called ghost nets because they're discarded and nobody knows what's to be done with it. In Karachi, I know that there was a group of scuba divers who used to clean up the seabed, and they would come and bring the ghost nets out. But it's a long process. You need to be you need to know how to unentangle and bring it up on the surface, because you can also be in danger of getting entangled in it. Now, a simple plastic bag can take up to 500 years to decompose, while a plastic bottle can take 300 years. But you know that a microplastic can take up to 1,000 years, 100 to 1,000 years to break down. So this is how much time it takes for these guys to disappear. In humans, we know it causes cancer. It's without any doubt, it causes cancer, genetic mutations, and harms the reproductive system, as I said earlier. Now, about oceans, we're very I mean, there's a lot of talk about garbage dumps in oceans and how to clean up oceans. But you know that back in the 1950s, scientists had found out that plastics was a problem to the oceans. And by 1970s, major chemical and petrochemical companies and the plastic producers also knew of the problem, but they thought that, you know, they can get by, or they can kind of direct us to recycling and say that, you know, if you recycle, you can reduce plastic. And so plastic industry should carry on. And so they ignored the fact that we were dumping so much plastic into the oceans, because everything eventually ends up in the ocean. So when they did acknowledge, then they said that let's, you know, move towards recycling, and they did. But recycling is a process of, and I already told you about recycling, that, you know, you can recycle a number of times, but it doesn't disappear. And recycling is a process where you take the waste material and you convert them back into the raw material and then back into plastic. So it is not like creating something new. But they also, there's another thing which is called upcycling. And upcycling, and first, can you give this another illustration here of upcycling?
Yes.
Do you know which one, where there's this machine that takes in all the plastic bottles and comes up with, yes, this one. So I thought this works very well because it creates new materials out of plastic. It is repurposed. So, but in a way, you know, whatever you say doesn't reduce plastic. It just gives plastic a new life. And it's just that plastic is metamorphosed sometimes into useful products like tote bags and ball pens and flower pots and jewelry and furniture. Here, there are manholes also made of manholes in Karachi and in, I think, Lahore, where they make manholes after plastic bags. Their garden sprinklers, children's toys, I mean, you name it, and they're just upcycling and saying that you are making new products. And so that is happening. And you know, till now, I was very happy with this also, that, you know, new products are made. At least plastic is contained in a garden bench, like hundreds and thousands of plastic is like kind of solidified and compressed to make a bench. I've seen that. But somebody told me that, have you found out if it is leaching microplastic into the earth? And I hadn't thought of that. So, you know, so again, plastic is a problem, and we need to recognize that. I have very little time, but I'll start with, you know, we need to talk about the link between plastics and climate change. So there is a direct link because plastics are made from fossil fuel, and the two industries, plastic industry and fossil fuel industry, are deeply connected. Fossil fuels represents 99% of the raw material base of plastics. And there is an organization called Center for International Environment Law that has been studying this connection for years. And they say that because plastic production is part of the fossil fuel supply chain, many fossil fuel companies own plastic producers, and many plastic companies own fossil fuel operations. And so and that is why, you know, I don't know how many of you know that there's a plastic ban treaty coming up. It started 2 years back, and there are about 170 countries, and every country has to come before it becomes the treaty, it comes alive. Every country has to agree to signing this. So one of the barriers to getting this treaty up and about is that it is being stopped by oil producing countries like Saudi Arabia, like US, and others. So I think even Russia is part of it because it's an oil producing country. So they don't want this to go through, because once it comes alive, it means that the idea is for producers to stop producing. And as you know, that a lot of the oil companies are already feeling the pinch, because we are going towards renewable, we are leapfrogging towards renewable energy. So they think that petrochemicals have to come up with an alternative for the sake of economics. And so they are like creating barriers. There's going to be so they have been meeting 5 times, all the countries, and now this will be this August in Geneva when they meet. It will be probably the last time, hopefully. But a lot of the activists are a little wary, and they don't think it'll happen this year. So let's see. I'm almost at the end of it, but I just want to tell you that something that has happened recently. As you know, that in our country, we also trade in plastics. I'm not sure if you know. I mean, we say that we are not exporting, we're not importing plastic waste. And I'm talking about plastic waste, not plastic, okay? So back in the 90s, 1992 to 2018, China was the biggest exporter of plastic waste, but it banned. Sorry, importer. It was the importer of plastic ban, and then importer of plastic waste. But in 2018, they decided that enough was enough, and they don't want any more of this of plastic coming into their country. And then Turkey became one of the big countries where plastic waste especially from UK, was going into Turkey. And this was followed by Thailand and Malaysia. So all these countries were big importers of plastic waste into their country. And the plastic was coming from US, it was coming from Japan, it was coming from UK, it was coming from a lot of European countries as well. And why do you think that the West and Japan were exporting the waste to the global South? Anybody can tell me? Okay, I'll tell you. You see, in the West, it's if you send your waste to a country like ours, it is cheaper. Shipping is cheaper. It is easier than managing your waste domestically. It becomes very expensive for them. Then global South, the labor cost is cheaper. The exchange rate is weaker. You also create a job. Industry. It becomes an industry where a lot of people get jobs because they are managing waste. And as we know, we have a very strong informal waste picking sector. But interestingly, in the US, within the states, there is the northeastern states which send their waste to southern states, because economically they are weaker. The southern states are weaker. They're less. There's more poverty there, and the regulations are weaker. So they send their waste there as well. Netherlands imports and exports plastic waste, and somebody just talked about incinerating, and China had incinerators. I don't know who said that. So I think that is a point also, but China has stopped. And this year, Thailand has also put a ban on import of plastic waste. I think they started in January, and just this month, Malaysia has also stopped plastic waste coming into their country. Pakistan says that we don't. There's a ban on import of plastic waste. But you know how Pakistan is, everything can come. It can be given another shape. It can come as e-waste. It can come in many other ways. It can come. So I don't really know about what happens here. Now, this brings me to the end of my conversation. We'll start with you asking me questions. If you are interested in writing about it on plastic, I can help you. I have some ideas and I can give you, but tell me what you want to know. And if I know something that you are asking me about, I will tell you. If I don't know everything, I will then excuse myself, read some more and get back.
Okay, so I think now we can ask questions. You guys can raise your hands and you can ask questions to Ms. Zofeen. Okay.
And it doesn't have to be a question. It can also be a comment. If you think you want to tell us something that would be interesting, would be great to learn from you.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Assalamu alaikum. So, my comment and sort of question was that I feel that plastic has not been replaced very largely at this point because plastic comes with a lot of various uses and we cannot find one particular thing to replace all of those uses. So, in the future, can we develop some technology to actually replace everything that plastic can do? And it also does all of the other things that plastic does, like it's cheap and also it is biodegradable. Is there a possibility for developing things like that? Or is it not possible based on the current technologies that we have?
Sam, I am so hopeful. You know, human mind is, I mean, I'm like amazed by the ingenuity of young people like you. As I said, that I attended a conference 2 months back, and all these young people had come up with such amazing inventions, I would say, inventions to replace plastic. So, you know, we have to meet them halfway. It may not be completely what we used to. As I said, you know, there's a societal addiction to plastic. And although we all know how bad it is for us, for our environment, we continue using because we haven't found the perfect replacement. But it doesn't mean that we cannot come up with another technology. And I'm sure with people like you around, this world will see a better replacement, better than a plastic, if we could put our minds to it.
Yes, sure.
Great.
Yes, Abir. Yes, Abir, you can ask.
Yes, Abir?
Hello, assalamualaikum. I've been thinking about plastic for quite a few years now. I really encourage my family not to pollute, not to use plastic bags, and I do make as much of a positive, or at least not make a negative impact. But I feel like these days, initially they had a plastic ban going on, but now I feel like they're shifting more to plastic bags again. And additionally, when I felt like I was trying to reduce my own family's plastic waste, like encouraging my siblings like buy wooden toothbrushes or something like that, I felt like going plastic free felt like something only the privileged or like more financially freer people could do, because if a regular toothbrush costs like 200 rupees, a wooden toothbrush costed at that point was like maybe 800, 900, something like that. And just I feel like it's an uphill battle, and initially they did stop with plastic bags, but now they're reverting back to it. So I'm not sure where Pakistan stands. And at this point, it's starting to feel like individually you can't make as much of an effort or like impact, because I've gone to villages and stuff and like taught them about plastic education and stuff, and they basically don't just use it to carry their bags, they also use it to light their wood and stuff, to cook their meals and just to keep themselves warm. So there's like multiple plastic we don't explore sometimes. So that was a big of a rant, but yeah.
So, Abir, I agree with you that people do, even when you start using things which are not plastic, it is an uphill battle, but you need to continue and you need to remain motivated. And it's also a lifestyle change that you're doing. And there are many people like you who continue this life, this battle, this journey, uphill journey. It's not easy because we're so used to plastic. Plastic is just and so available and so there. But there are people, and I'll give you an example of he's not that young anymore now, but for me, he's young. His name is Rizwanul Haq. And it's not just plastic he's done away with from his family also. His family is also like 2 kids and a wife. They, from the groceries they buy is from Perchun because it doesn't come packaged. The water he gets, he boils and filters water so that he doesn't have to rely on bottled water or the bottlers, the companies, the MNCs. He even makes his own shampoos and detergents also just so that it doesn't come in plastic. So he goes to that length. It requires a lot of effort on one's part. And when I told him that, is he the only person around in Pakistan? And he said, no, there's so many like me and they're doing much more than I do. So we don't know about them. I've also written that we need to write about such people because they're such motivating for us and motivating for young people like you, that I think that you can learn a thing or two from them. So I think you can also be a role model for your family if you continue striving on the same path. It's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy, but please try. Don't give up. Yes, Brian.
So I wanted to ask a follow-up question since we were talking a lot about individual efforts. Do you think the government can sort of impose some incentives or some policies to encourage individuals to do those efforts?
I mean, it should. Government should, but it won't. I don't see the government. I mean, with the government, they come up with policies just up in the air. They suddenly come up with bans. This is not the first time that they've come up with bans in Punjab or Sindh. They have been coming up with such bans, and these really don't work. If before the bans, they need to come up with a whole management plan of how they're going to phase out plastic. How there's a plastic industry also that employs huge number of people. How are you going to supplement their income? Are you providing them with an alternative as far as income is concerned? Are you making sure that people have enough knowledge and awareness and the motivation to do away with plastic? And also, I find that really foolish that you put a ban in Punjab, but the ban is not in Karachi. So if I'm traveling, or if somebody's traveling from Punjab and they're bringing plastic here, because which province doesn't have a ban, they can just keep on using plastic. So, I mean, some policies have to be seen holistically, countrywide, and there are countries who've done it. Rwanda is one which has stopped plastic in their country, and they have done it so many years ago, and it's a very effective ban. So it can be done, but the political will has to be there. It has to come from the top. They have to show by example. But I don't think so they'll take up individuals and reward them for doing this thing. And I don't think these people also need any rewards.
True, especially
Yes, so,
Pakistan's government. Thank you so much.
okay, so there is a question by Yasir. Let me read it for you. Okay, what measures are needed to be done, which you have told quite enough. He asked, what role can we play as science communicator writers? I mean, what he can do as
Sorry. I didn't get it. Where is it? I want to look at the question. Is it here?
Yes, it is here above. You need to scroll.
What measures need to be done at our country level, and what role can we play as science communicators? Now, I will try and answer the second part, because I don't know what measures can the country do, because I mean, the country knows what the country, our government knows what needs to be done. They've come up with a roadmap also, a national roadmap to reduce plastic. I think you should go through it. They come up with zero waste, zero plastic waste cities. They come up with various, because of the pressure from, international pressure, they then come up with these kind of policy things, and then they don't see them through. So for your question on how can we communicate the issue as science communicators, so there are so many things that you can take up. You can look at plastic waste or plastics as an environmental health. You can look at it as a waste management and recycling. A lot has already been written, but what you can also look at, as like I said, that you can look at some individual and how he has made this small lifestyle change, and how does it feel. So those are like more like gives the issue a human face, and it also shows that it can be done if you want to. So those are like positive stories that you can do, success stories of individuals. There, I don't know, but there could be a village where they don't use plastic, or they are reducing plastic. A village could also be a good idea. We need to really like investigate if there's such a thing. Now, you can look at the local bans that I was telling you about, and regulations, and why these are not effective. As I said, they're not the first time these plastic bans have been happening off and on by various governments at provincial levels. So, a good story would be that you look at the local ban, you look at the global treaty, which is really, really important for all of us to learn about, to read about, to find out what is happening globally, because we are also part of that globe. And Pakistan will be as affected. Not that I know that we're not like big manufacturers or producers of plastic, but we are still, we should know about it. And young people, you should know more about it, because you will be, holding discussions around it now more and more on plastic. As you talk more about climate change, you will be talking about this. We should be holding our government accountable to do studies on how much plastic is generated. If you Google, you'll find that every few years we are coming up with new figures, and some figures are being discredited. So the government needs to do more than what it is doing. We need to talk about what green marketing claims are being made by big multinational companies, like, for example, Nestle or Coca-Cola. What are they doing with their bottles? They're supposed to, I think there was a they claimed that they would start reusing their bottles or something like that. I'm forgetting. So we need to hold them also responsible, tell them what they pledged and what they're doing. There's a thing called extended producer responsibility, and these companies who are producing, who are importing or selling plastic products, they are responsible for collecting and recycling those products after consumers throw them away. So this is another thing that can be looked into by you people. We need to look at zero waste movements. I went to a village in Sindh, and this was after the floods, and they were actually doing zero waste. Whatever they were throwing away, they were using that. And I'm not talking about plastics, I'm talking about generally about almost everything. So they were making compost, they were reusing just about everything, clothes, I don't even know, but everything, even when they're after the floods, when some of their homes were washed away, they were mud huts. So they were using that mitti again to build the home structures. So those kind of things are necessary. They're also eye-opening. So plastic waste is one thing, but if they're using their waste for making other things, that's a good example also, and we can use that for coming up with zero waste movements. We can also look at the social and environmental justice aspect, that how waste is disproportionately, like the plastic waste is disproportionately affecting low-income groups. Like somebody, I think it was Abira, who just said that, or if I heard correctly, that they're using plastic to burn and to use that as running their chulas.
Yes.
Stoves, right? It is also being done in Karachi, in the Kachi Abadis, I know for sure. And how, I mean, most of them don't even know how carcinogenic that is, how the gases or the fumes that they are inhaling is going to affect their children and themselves. So, that could be a health story, but also an environmental justice story. Same with waste pickers in Karachi, and I'm sure in Lahore and Islamabad, a lot of the waste pickers are very young boys usually, who don't even go to school. I asked one of them, I've done a lot of stories on informal waste pickers, and they said that they can't go to, they were Afghan, so they said that we can't go to school because we are not registered as Pakistani citizens. So their parents weren't, so they can't go to schools, with the result that they were doing this. It's very important. I mean, microplastics and nanoplastics we're talking about now. So for you people, this could be such a good story, using it as discussing the contamination in food, water, air. Even they say that when you breathe air, you can be breathing some nanoparticles into your lungs, and that goes directly into your bloodstream. So those kind of stories are good stories. Give a human face. Go speak to doctors. If there are so many researchers in Pakistan doing things on plastic, researching on plastic, get in touch with them. Talk to them, tell them to tell you things in a language that you understand, because if you understand, then you will be able to write better, and then the readers will understand. So awareness will start. This is how awareness will start. If there's any more, or if you have some comments, any ideas that you want to pursue, I'd be happy.
Yes, connecting to your and Abir's point, I just realized earlier, a year or two ago, I used to see dump trucks. They were going for dump facilities. So I had this idea within my vicinity that every day we have these dairy products, and we have this yogurt and at my house, and then I'm always going outside to buy it. So I realized that I have some yogurt quantity within a plastic bag, and one more bag to, what you could say, to hang it down. So what I realized at that time, I started thinking deeply. I realized that I did a survey at my own. I asked the dairy product the shopkeeper, how many plastic bags do you utilize daily? So he told me I have a bag of like 70 small plastic bags, and at daily, whatever I am selling on an average, 8 to 9 bags are consumed on my shop. So comparing it to that, 70 goes into 87, 500 to 600 bags he has been selling. So on my personal level, actually, I started it, and I got demotivated. But what I did, that I realized that almost 20 to 30 plastic bags are going at my house, and
Yeah.
by the what you could say yearly, I am contributing like 300 to 400 within the environment, and that has to go into the dump yard. And then I am utilizing a physical space, what you could say, even if it is 1 square meter, and I'm dumping in, and as you mentioned, it could take years and years. I'm just how directly a person is polluting. So it went on like I'm after the talk, I would continue again, but I started practicing it like for 7 to 8 months, not bringing up that to my house. But it is so much connected that we are directly contributing in a way.
Yeah,
So,
we all are. Falls, you're not the only one. We all are. There is another person. His name is Salman. I have forgotten his second name. You know, he has started this what you call you. He has, I think, given these big machines where you can put in a coin and you can take out refillable. So what he does is refillable shampoos, refillable, I think, oil, cooking oil. So he set them up at some stores and in factories where they produce these. For example, there is Dalda. And I'm just giving the name Dalda. The Dalda company has put up his thing here. What do you call that electronic thing? Where they
and a sort of container. I mean,
yeah,
you can
what
refill.
the people who are working there they also get subsidized oil from. So what they do is now they don't get it in plastic sachets. They bring their things and they refill it in their refillable bottles, the same oil. In the same way, they have set up in grocery stores, I think in Lahore and Karachi, in some stores where they have refillable shampoos and detergents. So people don't need to, keep on buying those sachets. They can just refill, bring their bottles and refill. They've also set up some machines in hostels and for women where they have sanitary pads. So again, that plastic package can be done away with and the girls can just buy it from there. So these are like some, interventions that people have started. We just need to promote and encourage these things to happen more.
Yes, totally. I mean, it's just as you mentioned, it's about changing habits and intervening and inventing stuff that could replace. And also, you made a point that if somehow we could also find ways to make it more affordable, because we are cutting the cost in between. I think that's quite a wonderful point you made, and I think quite we are near to our pastime. And if
I just
there are any, yes,
Batul, to call up Batul that I hope you can restart your painting of tote bags, because now everyone is using tote bags, and the more you make, the more even if you sell them, it'll be a good income generating for you. But lack of awareness, especially Daud Chaudhary says that lack of awareness, especially in Pakistan, is a great barrier towards this goal. I think that people are aware of plastic bags. Okay, they may not know how maybe the health consequences, but in Karachi, for example, they know if you ask when there is urban flooding, like it will happen now in Karachi because it's raining, people will blame the plastic for choking the drains. So it's not that they don't know; they know, but they have not been given alternatives. You provide alternatives, and if, as Saim had said, if this alternative is as good or even better than plastic, because plastic is versatile, it is durable, it is convenient, it is everything that you can ask for. If you can give something like that to us, we will give up plastic. So the awareness is there, but the alternatives are not there. So biodegradable plastic that Yasser is talking about, we have to be sure that biodegradable is biodegradable and not greenwashing of plastic bags. So Yasser, there's again a whole science to biodegradable plastic, and people have used that to, you know, do business when it is not really biodegradable, because biodegradable means that it will degrade into microplastics and then into nanoplastics. So we need plastic to be completely eliminated, right? Not just turn into smaller plastic pieces, because then that becomes even more dangerous. I would take my own cups along to Krems to avoid plastic cups. Why not? Gen Z and Gen Z are good and they can do anything. If you're a Gen Z, you can come up with the most weirdly XT nice to know there are other out there. There are out there, but please continue with whatever you're doing and don't worry about what people are saying. Anybody else? Did they say something? 3 takeaways from the meeting. Okay. I think we've covered more or less everyone, right?
Totally.
Okay.
Well, yes, quite a wonderful discussion it has been. And more importantly, I think we should really go for alternatives. And it is about changing habits. And one more important thing, if we compare it to a lot of other things, as you mentioned, we have awareness. We could also be taken by surprise that, I mean, considering the literacy rate in Pakistan, and whatever there are other aspects of education, and you can say injustices, inequality, people still know about plastic. Even everyone knows about plastic, yet it harms. So I think you are so right that to awareness level, it is quite spread over. And well, yes, I think we are quite near to the time, and a lot of has been discussed. And you guys can reach out to ma'am with your any questions. You can email her, you can ask her, you can read about plastic, and you can do your own interventions. And thank you everyone for joining, especially thank you, ma'am Zofeen, for taking out time and having such a fact-based, such a wonderful, such a driven, and more importantly, we had a really wonderful discussion, actually a discussion that we could implement in our lives as well. So thank you for taking out time.
Thank you. Thank you, Foz. Thank you, everyone. I really enjoyed talking to you. We should have had more time for more interactive discussion, though. I think it was seemed like more one-sided, but still, I think the questions were very good. Thank you, everyone. Khuda Hafiz. Bye-bye.